Today we're going to have a quick look at how to build an email inside ActiveCampaign. So we're going to look at the campaign builder. Now the first step really is adding an email to an automation, if that's how you're going to do it. And you just click on the plus sign and then send an email. And then that will bring up this action here. And then you can usually, or you'd normally click create and edit an email. For this particular video, we're just going to edit this existing email. And then that brings up our campaign builder. Now, first up, we can select the theme. Most of the time, most people don't select themes because they've custom made their own template, and that's what they're using. We can change the background if we wanted to. I highly recommend you leave that as white. We can also change the link color if we wanted to as well. I've just set that to a tone similar to my logo. But generally you want to leave that as a blue, or if you've got like a bright orange yellow logo, then you could use a tone like that. But generally make sure that it's obviously a bright color so people know there's a link there. Then you can add a border around your email if you wanted to. I generally don't recommend that. And then you can align the whole email left, right, or center. Center is the best generally. Then the width of the email, 600 pixels is the best width for an email. You can change that if you really wanted to. And you can also turn on full window width lock. Snap to grid, I would leave that on as well. So that's the basic settings up the top here. Now, next up, we've got the autosave feature, which is an amazing feature in ActiveCampaign that most people don't know exists because it's kind of hidden up the top here. But this is really, really powerful because if you ever make a mistake, if you delete everything, if you stuff something up, if you want to revert back to a previous version, you've got a whole bunch of previous versions here saved for you. And that's really helpful because you can just click on a previous version, shows you exactly what the email looked like, and then you can just click on use this or cancel and have a look at a different one. So you can jump back if you make a mistake pretty damn easily. Now we've got our gear icon, and the gear icon is the one that most people never click when they want to update the subject line. Everyone's always looking on where can I change the subject line. I get emails about this all the time. How do I change the subject line in my email? It's this gear icon here, and then you've got the subject line there that you can change. You can add personalization tags, any field from your contact, you can add that there. And the personalization tag will always show up at the end of the subject line. So just copy it and put it into wherever you wanted the personalization tag to go. Pre-header text. Now, this is a new feature in ActiveCampaign. And previously, ActiveCampaign would have just shown the first line in the email as the pre-header text. Now, the pre-header text is if you're in Gmail or Outlook, you've got the subject line of the email, generally shows in bold, and then the pre-header text is that little bit of text that shows next to the subject line. And it's usually in a normal font, and it generally trails off towards the end. That's the pre-header text. It's basically an extra tease to get someone to open your email. So your subject might be, hey, thanks for working with me. Pre-header text might be, I've got a special gift for you, blah, blah. So the pre-header text is really just an extension of the subject line in a sense. Then you can change the from name and email address here. Make sure your from email is not a Gmail email address or a Yahoo or any of those other free email providers. That will flag your email as spam. It should always be a domain, and you don't have to set up this email on your domain. It can just simply be anything at your domain because ActiveCampaign sends on behalf of their IP, and they just use this as a mask. So it doesn't actually have to be an active email address. Although you'd probably want it to be so that people can reply to it and then you can get your replies to it. But that's why you have this reply to email field that you can set different to your from email address. So you can set that there if you like. If it's blank, then it's just going to reply to the from email address that you've set there. Automatically generate a text version of the email, always leave that as on, and mobile responsiveness, always leave that as on as well. Test your campaign. Here is where you can basically have a look at what your campaign is going to look like in the real world. Looks pretty much the same as the editor, but you can test that here if you wanted to. Change the email, change the subject line, and then send a test. Preview on email or desktop. This you actually have to pay for most accounts, but you can preview it here if you wanted to, and that's basically another way that you can test your campaign. But most of the time I don't worry about that. Then you've got the spam check. For most of you, that will always be passed unless you're using a Gmail or Yahoo email address at the top there, or you've got something in the email content here that says spam, which could be get rich quick, that sort of thing. Those sort of words generally get flagged. Now, for building the actual email content, you've got all these blocks on the right-hand side, and these are really your building blocks. The abandoned cart, that's only going to show if you've got the integration, and if you've also set the trigger for the automation to one of the abandoned cart triggers, then you'll be able to use that block, but you won't be able to use that if for pretty much any other email. Now, to build the email, you can just simply drag and drop these blocks into the email. Now, notice as I'm dragging that block over different parts of the email, there's this green line that's showing up. Now, this green line is going to show me exactly where this is going to be inserted. Now, you can see the green line goes the whole length of the email here. So if I drop this into my email, it's going to change the email into 2 columns. Now, I really don't like that, so I'm going to just roll back my email back to that one there. Looks good, so I'm just going to use that. There we go. So now I've rolled that change back because that was a real big mistake. But generally you just drop it in, keep your emails as one column, and then drop in your block there. Now for the text, you can then add your text in here obviously, and then you can change the font. You've only got a select number of fonts here, and that's on purpose because these are the fonts that are readily read or understood by most email clients. You don't want to use fancy fonts in your email because most emails or most email clients won't be able to read them, and therefore either the text won't render correctly or it will just default to one of these texts that are available here. And you can change the font size, you can change the color, add in your italics, etc., align the text, add a link if you wanted to. And for adding links, you have to select the text first, then click on the link, paste in the link. Generally, you don't worry about adding any actions, but you could if you really wanted to. And then you've got this insert image, which I wouldn't recommend you use that for inserting images because it just inserts it in line with the text. It doesn't insert it as an image block, which we'll look at in a minute. Then you've got the personalization, and you can add any of those personalization tags from your fields. And then you've got under this little arrow a few extra options. So you've got indent, outdent, list, numbered list, strike through, horizontal line, and clear text format. Now the clear text format is handy if you're copying pasting text from a Google Doc or a Word doc. You can just paste it in here, clear the formatting, and then add the formatting that you want. That's an important step because if you paste it in from Google Docs or Word, it's going to have all this code behind it that you're not going to see, but the email servers are going to see, and that could mark your email as spam. So if you are copying and pasting from a document, then always highlight the whole thing and clear the text formatting. Now here next to each block you've got this gear icon, and you've also got a move icon. The move icon, pretty obvious, so you can just drag and drop it again to anywhere in the email. The gear icon is all your settings. So you can duplicate this block. That's really good if it's really handy if you've, say, set one text block to the style that you want. You can just duplicate an old text block, then change the text. You can also make this block conditional, and that's a really cool feature because you can say if this contact has a tag, doesn't have a tag, has this in their custom fields, blah, blah, any of those sort of options. If the tag exists and the tag is equal to such and such, then they'll view this block in the email, the content in the email. But if they don't meet the conditions of the block, then the block just simply won't show. So that's really quite a powerful feature. You can also hide this block on mobile devices. You can save it to Content Library if you like, and I'll show you that now. So you just name your block whatever you like. And then what's going to happen on your blocks on the right, you'll then see it here saved in the library of blocks. And that's handy because you can then use that block in any number of emails. You can just simply drag it from here, paste it in there, and it's a copy of that block. And then last, you've got the delete this block. So that's kind of the blocks and how to use them. The other block you've got here is the image. Drag and drop that in, then click on it, and you can upload your images or use an existing one. Then you can set the align, and for any of these blocks that you add, when you click on the block and you're editing the content over here, you've also got all these options on the right. So here we can change the text block, our line height, the block backgrounds, the paddings, the margins, the column backgrounds, all that I can change over there. For the images, we'll just put that image in there. We can then add a link to the image. We could add the link in here. We can add some alternative text in case the image doesn't load. We can change the width, the height, all that sort of stuff in here as well. Now, a note on images and mobile devices. If you put in the image and the image defaults to, say, 600 pixels, and you go, oh, it's a little bit big, we'll just make that 300 pixels. On a mobile device, the image will always scale up to the width of the mobile screen unless it is constricted by the original image size. So, for instance, this little footer face image, if that image was a 300 pixel image, the width of this image here for reference, rather than 100 pixel, which is what this is, then on a mobile device, this image would be this big, this wide, instead of this big. So that's quite important for certain images. Generally, the face image in your footer is probably the most problem one that most people have. Then just upload a specific image and upload it as the file or the maximum size that you want that image to be, rather than scaling the image here in the options on the right. So a few other blocks that we've got here, the button block. You can add your button here, change the text, and then you can add the styling that you want for that button there. And of course the link up the top. Then you've got the video block. To be honest, this isn't really a video block, it's more of an image block. You add in the video URL here, and then it's just going to show an image of that video. And when they click on the image, it's going to take them to whatever that video URL was. It's not going to play the video in the email. Then you've got line break, which is just a black line across the email. Pretty straightforward. It's good for when you're building sort of fairly long emails. You've got spaces, so you can add a spacer between blocks. RSS feed, say if you've got a blog feed, you could add that to your email there and then configure that. Social links, which you can see my social links down the bottom here. And you can set that as horizontal or vertical, and then turn on or off your social links here, add in the links that you want. And then you can also set whether you want to share this email as a post. Don't know why you'd really want to do that, or open a social page. So that's kind of all the blocks here. HTML block, most people won't be using that, but if you wanted to use custom HTML, then you've got the option there to use that. So that's essentially how to build your email. Now you can also drag and change your email columns, if you've got columns, by basically dragging the black line between your different blocks, and that will change the columns. You can also drag and drop different blocks around your email as you like. Say for this particular line or break block, we've then changed the color. We've set the width to 100 and the height to 6 pixels, but you can change that as well. So pretty much everything that you need is either in a block or it's under the options of the block on the right. And then again, the subject line is up the top here. Now, once you've made all the changes to your email, you can either click on Save and Exit, or you can click on Next, and then you can review pretty much the main features of the email. So you can review the subject, pre-header, the from name. You can change the message name. That's purely just an internal name. It's going to show up in the automation as the email message name, but it's not really going to be used anywhere else. And then you've got Google Analytics, where you can set the campaign name that's going to show up in your analytics panel. And generally you want to always have link tracking on and open tracking on. And reply tracking, generally I have this turned off, but you can have it turned on. The reason why I have it turned off is because it changes the reply to email to a very long system generated email. It's usually about 40 characters long. And then it has, the @activecampaign.com as the reply. And I find that actually reduces the number of replies that I get from the emails, because it's very clearly tracked, and it's not being sent to your email directly. It's been sent via the ActiveCampaign tracking reply email. So I generally have that turned off. Then you can send a test email, you can preview it, and you can check for spam there. Now once you've finished making your changes, you can just click on Finish, and you're done. You're back to the automation builder. So if you've got any questions on how to build a campaign, if you'd like, maybe you want to put something in there and I didn't cover it in this video, then just leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you on the next video. Hi, I'm Mitch Bayless, and if you're looking for someone to help you with your business automation, then click the button below to schedule your free call today. And if you found this video useful, remember to click like, and also subscribe to our channel for more videos.